Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back to life.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Made for Mondays podcast. I'm Heather, and who are you fellas?
Hey there, Heather. It's me, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Heather. Tyler.
Tyler.
Hello, Heather. I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Yule.
Yule?
Mm-hmm.
Like Yuletide?
Yeah, Christmas.
Oh, nice.
It's the Christmas Sam.
The Christmas Sam. Rounds one. This man is feeling
This
good.
is
So
our
good.
last podcast told next year.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
See
really?
you guys next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So we don't. Oh, well, okay. That's right.
We won't do it next
Yeah.
week. We're on
Nope.
break.
That's right.
That's right. We better make it a good one.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, or it's just throwaway.
Nobody's,
Last of the year, just-
nobody's listening.
yeah, nobody's
Right.
listening at
They're
this
all
point.
busy
They're
doing
busy
stuff.
doing all of the
Yeah.
Christmas things.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
just for us.
My wife's listening. They're now off of school, so they got
Oh, really?
they get this week and next week off.
Wow.
Yeah. I've already received like 100 more texts than I normally get from her on the first day of break, which is great.
Wow. That's a lot of time off.
Yes, I know.
Bonnie said she looked at next year's school schedule for Chesapeake, and they're taking away vacation
Yes.
time at Christmas.
What?
Yeah. She has less time next year than she did this year.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
because the kids are at in Chesapeake school, so Jamie was loving the joke last night. You guys got to get to bed. You got school tomorrow, and she doesn't have to go.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for her.
That's awesome. What did you guys do this weekend?
So I actually did think about it. This weekend didn't do much. Friday,
I
Saturday.
didn't think about it much.
I thought about it, and I didn't do anything.
It was great. But wait, what was it? Saturday night we had a party with some of our friends,
Nice.
some Chris coworkers. It was good.
Well,
Played a
that
ga-
sounds like something.
It was something.
Yeah.
It was. We played a game called Avalon. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. You ever played Mafia?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's kind of like that. And you try to figure out who's bad, who's good.
Okay.
And I absolutely love lying to people in that game.
Yeah.
It is the best. It is so fun.
That's awesome.
I'm mad at you. It's
Wait,
great.
I
Mafia
love
is
that
the
one of our
same-
Tyler or one of our pastors loves to lie.
Isn't Mafia the same as the game Murder? Kind of where you like, if you get like the burnt match, like you have to like wink
Yes.
at people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Similar to that. Yeah.
That's fun.
But yes.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. Avalon is great.
Not in real life.
Never like
You remember the staff game that we did where we had a
was a
murder
murder
mystery, staff and elders, and Debbie was like the keeper of the secret. And then
yes.
like at the very end, she blurts out the answer.
Yeah,
and ruins,
before-
like an hour in, and then Debbie
whole
ruins
game.
it.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for hours.
Yeah,
Yes. It is great.
ridiculous.
And then before it's supposed to be over, Debbie just blows
Blurts it
it.
out. Yeah.
We were like,
Did she not
great.
realize, or was it just a mistake?
Well, you
Who
never know.
knows?
You never know with
Who
Debbie.
knows?
But it was. We
Deb.
were all super into it as well.
I hated it.
Yeah. Some of us were.
I feel like with those kinds of like the murder mystery dinner things, you either love them or you hate them. There's
hate
not a
them.
middle ground
That's
on
true.
that.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Because you have to be all in if you're doing it.
Right.
Like, especially if you're doing the character, dress up, all that
Yes,
stuff.
right.
Okay, so here's my thing with that. So, as I'm thinking about why do I hate it so much, I don't like normally socializing is
Yeah.
draining, right?
Right.
Yep.
Then you have to
say certain things.
you have to pretend to social. You have to socialize on a phony level.
Yeah.
It's like double
And not even you.
draining.
It's just-
Yeah, there's like not only do you have to socialize, but none of it's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It says, like, what's the point?
What's the point? If I'm going to exert myself to socialize, I want it to be authentic.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking way too much about it, which is probably why you hate socializing. You've broken it all the way down.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I like that you've realized though why.
Yeah, that's got to be why.
It's got to be why.
It just came to me.
What did you do, Sam?
We had a game night on Friday night with some friends, and they put together like this amazing spread of food. It was incredible. And we played, what's the gibberish game where you read the card, but
Taboo?
no, I mean, it's like Taboo, but you're reading the card, but it like says weird words, like not even.
It's just a jumble of words. Blah, blah, blah. And
Mad
you try to
Gab?
figure-
It's kind of like
Something
Mad,
like
yeah, it's
that.
like
Yeah.
Mad Gab, but it was a new. I can't remember what it's called. Incomprehend, something like that. I don't remember.
But it was fun.
Incomprehend, compare. I'll tell you guys later. I don't remember, but it was fun. We did that on Friday night, and what did we do Saturday? Saturday we just hung out. Jamie took our youngest Emma to the Nutcracker.
Oh, fun.
So they had a great time, and I got a haircut.
Okay.
Looking good.
Which
Thanks.
is why we have Sam without a hat for 3 days.
Correct. Yeah, you'll get it through Christmas.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But probably next Tuesday, hat back on. My hair grows real fast.
Okay.
And then yesterday was just a great day on Sunday at church, of course.
Yeah.
Had a lot of smack talk going on just around my sports teams this weekend in general.
You weren't probably participating.
Yeah, which
in
is
it.
really
you
weird.
were probably just
No,
getting
I
a
don't
lot
ask
of,
for this.
Yeah.
It just
I'm
happens.
just quiet. And
Yeah.
I specifically said I wasn't going to do that. I didn't mention it.
I was going to actually, I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to address this. You said you weren't going to talk about it and then proceeded to talk about it. I wasn't going to tell Sam I was going to throw the Browns under the bus today and that they have no hope of winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did that.
But I'm not going to do that. I was like,
He did that a couple times. Yeah.
He was coming off that game on Saturday night. He was feeling himself,
was
being
good.
able to
Well, I said that,
do the
so
lying,
that's-
manipulating.
by the time music got done and I got through the office and back in and seated down by Jamie, you were like right at that point almost.
Yeah.
So I must not have said it loud enough because I was like, you just did. You just did.
I might have heard that. I know it was you.
Yeah. It was a great day. We don't need to do a sports recap because
No,
a
we
lot
don't.
of teams
Jamie,
here
what
lost,
did you do
but-
this weekend?
Quickly changing the subject. So Thursday was my daughter Sarah's 28th birthday.
goodness.
Wow.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Sarah.
birthday, Sarah.
My baby girl, 28.
How is that even
Man.
possible?
If she's 28,
Right?
how old are you?
So I just had this moment the other day. It was kind of a sad moment. I was from my last class reunion, whenever that was. I think it was 20 years, 20, whatever it was. They put together a Spotify playlist of all the top songs
Okay.
from 1986
Yeah.
when I graduated. And I was in the car Saturday listening to it. Great playlist, by the way, 86.
I'm sure
Great
it was.
music.
Yeah.
It actually is.
And as I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh man, like 86, it's going to be 24 really soon. In just a couple years, it's going to be a big anniversary for graduation. And I start doing the math and I'm like, 40 years.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I cannot. I
doesn't
can't
feel like
it
it's 40
doesn't
years
feel
ago.
like it. But then I have a 30-year-old son, so
Yep.
I guess it's got to
Yeah.
be.
Somewhere in there.
It's just crazy. Time is flying.
I'm shocked
Flying.
that the class of 1986 was able to put together a Spotify playlist. It's pretty amazing.
I think the guy who
Tech
did it,
savvy.
John Coyne.
Yeah.
Shout out to John. I'm sure he's listening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Hey,
Yeah.
John.
I think he's a technology teacher
good.
at our alma mater,
right.
Johnson City High School. So
Nice.
yeah,
He knew what he was doing.
he knew what he was
So
doing.
where did you do for a birthday celebration?
We went out to eat at Esoteric in Virginia Beach. Sarah loves that place, so we went there, and it was fine. It was a good meal, and it was better being with her. Better, I thought that
Not
was better
rave
than the meal.
reviews
Oh, it wasn't
for
here.
It was just
Esoteric.
it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was a fine.
What do they serve there?
Like a lot of higher end kind of restaurants, very
Okay.
small menu.
Yeah.
So I had scallops with risotto, and she
love
had
that.
pork chop with something. She loves to get a pork chop when we're out. And
Have I been there?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, almost kitty corner to Esoteric is Hearth,
Yeah.
which
is
I
amazing.
absolutely love.
Yeah.
So I would have much rather pulled into that place,
So you're feeling bad just walking in and seeing
but
it.
my daughter chose the place. It was
Yeah,
her birthday.
it's her
That's
birthday.
what she gets to
kinda what
do.
happens,
So,
Right.
yeah. So I'll
Yeah.
choose Hearth for my birthday.
Yep.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Friday, so while we were gone a couple weeks ago, Bonnie and I and Sarah, aforementioned birthday girl, dog sat and house sat. And while we were gone, she broke our microwave.
Sarah,
Sarah,
I know.
and you had a
I
better
can't
dinner?
believe you even took her out for
I know,
birthday
I
dinner.
agree.
I spent as much replacing the microwave as I did on her dinner. so the microwave, the handle was kind of breaking on it, but if you knew where to pull,
Right.
it was going to be fine. But she ripped the whole face of the microwave off.
She's very aggressive.
She is, yeah. So it worked still, but it needed to be replaced.
Yeah.
So I went, ordered a microwave, got the install because I'm the least handy guy in the planet. So they come, they remove the working microwave that has the broken handle. They remove it, then they unbox the new microwave, and it's broken. So they leave and said, Lowe's will give you a call. So I went from a working broken microwave to no microwave at all. It is great.
Do you use the microwave all the time?
Yes, all the time. So I borrowed a microwave.
I saw your Facebook post.
Yeah, with the great,
gonna borrow one.
Yeah, with the great wallpaper.
Yes.
From the original 1974 construction.
You didn't change.
of our
You didn't
house.
take it down, right?
No.
Okay, good.
No, that's
you got to
fine.
leave it because
I'm going to redo the whole. I'm going to try to find it. I'm going to find vintage paper.
Yes, there you go.
Redo. Yeah, it's like.
I bet you can do you can take a picture of it and then the internet will find it for you.
Yeah, I already have taken a picture of it, so yeah, I'll try to do that.
You have an air fryer?
I don't have an air fryer.
That might be a worthy investment. That's the best thing I got since the microwave. It is.
amazing.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
You can cook anything in it. It's
anything.
Do I have an air fryer?
I don't know.
Maybe I do. I might have an air fryer.
I mean, we use it so much.
Yeah, I think I do.
You should give it a go.
But you can't. I mean, you can't use it for everything that you'd use a microwave for.
That's true. I think there's something
Like you're not going to put a beverage. Like you're not going to put a baby bottle, which we had to do on Friday.
Well, true.
In the air fryer.
Yeah, I don't
to
think you
warm
can
up.
No, probably don't want to do that.
Right. Beep, beep, and then it melts it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you you can't put popcorn in an air fryer, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can do that either.
No.
So there's
Yeah.
several
There's
things. There's some
That's true.
limitations.
That's true.
Yeah.
We also had a sleepover with Esther on Friday. She came over and
Did she behave herself?
she's so sweet. Yeah. We had a great time.
Did I tell you that she spit up on me?
Oh,
Did I tell you
man.
that?
Congratulations.
Really? First time, baby. Nope. Spit up. Yeah. Big
Yeah.
group. It's good though. We're good. We're good now.
Yeah.
You reconciled?
We reconciled.
Okay, that's
really
good.
good.
I'm talking to her.
Yeah.
She's
Done in some
she does
grace.
have some developmental stuff going on. Like she's still using a diaper instead of the toilet.
Oh, man.
She's 8 months old for
I
crying
mean,
out loud.
honestly, it's just parenting.
It probably is.
I liked how you were showing
Derek,
me how
come on.
she's crawling around right now.
Yeah, she's army crawling, so she's not on her hands and knees, but she's like,
doing it.
and she's so fast. It's so funny. Yeah, she's everywhere. It's great.
Tyler, that's funny that she spit up on you. That happened to me many, many years ago. Megan and her son Waverly, when he was a baby, I decided I was going to hold a baby. He spit up all over me all over me, and I haven't talked to him since. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
Well, my weekend was great because my niece came over on Saturday to hang out for a little while. Kira, she's amazing. And then on Saturday night, our kids came over and we started making signs because Treyboy was coming home yesterday.
Yeah.
So we had to make airport signs.
Yes.
And
I like Nate's.
Yeah, that's funny.
Nate's said congratulations on being paroled.
Yeah.
And there's
great.
some other slightly inappropriate ones, but Nate's original was far more inappropriate than what
sure.
this one was. And so he got you're not
maturing.
allowed to do that. But yesterday I was sharing in services because it was my hope for yesterday was that Trey was going to get home, and he got delayed a little bit, and then he did finally make it home. But as we were standing at the airport with our signs, this one wave of people came off the plane, and a couple of them were giggling at our signs and stuff. And this one lady just pointed at Nate's and was like, "That's the best." It was just she knew, not even knowing the situation, that was a total joke, and it was really funny.
Yeah, it was. I thought
Even if it wasn't, that would have been
Yeah,
funny.
it was
She
great.
thought it was a joke.
Yes, yeah. So that was fun. Trey did make it home.
Yay.
And
Good.
he got to meet his cousin's newest baby last night. So that was good, and had dinner, and
Nice.
he's hanging out with Dad for the day. So
That's awesome.
it's very good. All right, so we have finally hit your favorite book of the Bible.
I'm so excited.
Jamie,
I am so
in our
excited.
reading
Ready to go.
challenge.
Revelation and Christmas at the same time.
This is like,
man,
you're going out of 2023 on top.
On top. Yep. So good.
So anything sticking out to you guys in your Bible readings? Tyler, we know you're still back in like Hebrews or something.
I am.
He'll be
I'm in
done
Peter.
by
I showed
24.
Sam. I'm in Peter. There we go. I'm rolling.
We'll get there
Catch up
soon.
eventually.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know. Doug said he's got that book so we're excited about that last week.
Yeah.
He talked about that.
I'm reading that too.
Are you start? Okay.
I'm about a quarter way through.
But you said it's not helping.
It's helping a little. I was talking to someone yesterday about it, and I'm starting to like, just like the murder mystery game, why I don't like that. I'm starting to piece things together.
Okay,
There we go.
So I think one of the
You figured it
reasons
out?
I don't click well with Revelation is it's kind of a twofold thing. One is I don't really love science fiction stuff, and it
Feels that way.
that it's a type of literature that is a little on the like if it was a modern day thing, it would be
That's
a
what it
little
would
bit
be.
in the
for
in the
sure.
sci-fi range, which I just don't particularly like. But then another thing is it's very abstract. So as I'm reading the book on Revelation, as I'm reading Revelation, that's one of the things that's kind of hitting me as I'm reading it is so much of it is like intentionally abstract. It's almost like he does the comparison in the book that it's like an artist. He's not like pointing to a thing. He's using images to make you kind of feel a certain
Right.
way and evoke a thought without actually coming out and spelling it all
Yeah.
out. So that it's a very artsy kind of thing and therefore, kind of abstract. And I am not an abstract thinker.
Yeah.
So like even like math, like high levels of math, I got totally lost because I couldn't get my brain to think abstractly enough to make to where the math would make sense. If I couldn't concretely figure out like how is this being used,
Yeah.
I can't do it. And so Revelation, I think part of the learning block for me on this book is it's just very like it's intentionally very abstract, and I have a hard time tracking with abstract thought.
Yeah, I think that's super true. But do you think that some of it too is that while that is probably true that it's abstract, so many people try to put it in this like very
100%, and that's
like,
the part of the book that
where
I
it
have
just
found.
frustrates you. So
Yeah.
you're like, that's not what's happening in the book. So I
Right.
don't want to talk about
So
it.
that's been the most helpful part of the book, Revelation for the Rest of Us by Scott McKnight. He does a very good job of dismantling a lot of the predictive use of the
That's good.
book of Revelation, which is very helpful to me. So, like I was asked yesterday by someone in my B group if I would recommend the book, and even though I'm not done with the book, even before I started, I would have recommended it just because I know the author and he's very solid. So I feel very confident that he's not going to lead anyone astray. But now that I'm like 25% in, I still think like even if it doesn't unlock the book for me, it's been very helpful. Yeah.
I think this is a rumor, so I apologize. It might not even be for sure, but he's talked last week about his hiking bee group.
Yeah.
I think they might be doing that. He's trying to finish the book up because
Okay.
they might use it for just a little Bible study, like a book
I
study.
think it would be great.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
So if people are listening or interested,
Yep.
you can maybe push them and be like, yeah, you guys should do that.
yeah, that's cool.
If you like to hike too.
Yeah, you have to hike and
out.
like Revelation.
Right. So Sam's not.
It
Sam
narrows-
will not
it
be
narrows
joining
the
you.
pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
True. Well, yesterday we were in the third week of our Bah Humbug series, and Tyler, you taught us about the hope that we can walk in despite the chaos that might be happening around us. And you opened up your message kind of sharing a story of a chaotic moment in your life. So can you just retell the story? You can even give us a little more details because we have
detail.
time now.
Yeah. When I left Lynchburg College, good old Lynchburg College, go Hornets, I was a lost little boy trying to figure out what I wanted to do because had all this money, all this debt into school, and I was a biology major, so I'm like, all right, I need to go try to be a doctor. So I did all the things, applied to all the schools, which cost me a lot of money. So I did the thing. And then, like I said on the stage, man, I still haven't heard back from those schools. Never got a rejection letter.
I'm sure
Never got anything.
It's coming.
You know?
Yeah. It's in the
Someday.
mail.
Any day.
Any
When
day
you
now,
said that, it reminds me of when Jamie says he's still waiting for our elders to tell him that we found a new
Yeah,
a
the
senior
search-
pastor.
Sort
the
of same
search
boat.
committee.
The
Yeah.
search committee's still going.
They're out
There's a
there.
letter in junk mail
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
How
So
crazy would that be if you actually got one though?
that would be amazing. I'll probably frame it.
You've been
I
accepted.
think so. I've been accepted.
Yeah. Would you just go? Would you
Maybe
go off to medical school?
Maybe
Pray
so.
about it.
Get an honorary degree, you know, something like that. Yeah. But so yeah, on the journey to the good old seminary, I'm glad I met Karina for so many reasons. She's my wife,
Yeah.
which is a great thing. But if you're not in the military, like the opportunity to be a chaplain was a really cool thing for me. To be able to, I didn't want to work at a church right off the gate because I grew up going to a church for my whole life, and I was like, I don't want to know if I want to start off
Yeah.
doing that.
We're
So,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, just a little bit, just a little bit. So in order to do that, had to go to because in the Air Force you got to have. It's like the Army or the Marines or anybody else. We use our brains a little bit more in the Air Force. So you got to, get some education to be allowed to be in the Air Force, all those things. All my military people get those jokes, But
So the
Jamie,
the
you got something to say about that?
But the chaplaincy, MDiv is required for all branches.
It is.
It is.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. He's right.
Because when I thought I wasn't going to go to France as a missionary, I started looking into the chaplaincy, and the MDiv was a requirement. And I was just like, I already had 2 kids, and I was like, there's no way I
Not
can
happening.
pursue an MDiv
Yeah.
at this stage of my life. And so,
Masters of Divinity for those.
Yes.
Yes.
which is a pretty serious advanced
Yes.
degree.
Yes.
It was. And because I didn't have kids and it was just me, I could just blaze through
Yep.
all the stuff.
Yep.
And so saved a bunch of money. To me, that was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
One semester is all I had. And you can't get federal loans because it's a religious education. Military can't pay for it. So I'm like, Lord.
Interesting.
Well, here it is. And then I got scholarships all the way through.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Somehow, some way. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
God
But
did his thing.
God did his thing. Yeah. Love
Very
liberty,
cool.
great education.
And they
So,
paid you when you left.
Yes. I still don't know how that happened.
But that's
The
great.
scholarship is designed specifically for the money that you need for the tuition. So I still don't know how that happened, but
Yeah.
They're coming back for that money at some point.
at some point, I'm hiding away.
Save up.
Yeah.
So Sam and Jamie, have you experienced that kind of like a hope that you had or that you were pursuing that just wasn't coming to fruition, and so God kind of redirected your steps?
I mean, I've talked about mine a lot, but the whole France thing for me was that.
Yeah.
And then it ended up happening. So I didn't get really redirected. It just took forever.
Maybe
Yeah.
your coming back was redirected because
The
you thought
coming
you were
back was
going to be there
100% a
for
redirection. Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
That was going to be your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was earlier years. I can remember I think it was my junior, senior year. I wanted to play baseball like really bad, like in college, and then having those little boy dreams of playing Major League Baseball,
Yeah.
those kind of things. And I remember that was like my hope. But then my senior year, I saw a 93-mile-an-hour fastball by a guy, and I was like, "This is never going to happen." And so those hopes were dashed. But like, I started ministry so early.
With one pitch.
One pitch I knew.
Yeah,
I was like, I think it was a ball too. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to hit that. So we laugh about that a lot. But no, I just think for me, like the hope, like that was early, but I also knew God had a call in my life. So it was like taking away one dream kind of hope that I had. And it was almost like God, like being like, that's not happening, bro. Like, here we go.
And then there was the 7-minute sermon.
Yeah. And then I had, yes. Yeah, I've had a lot of hopes
I've had a lot of hopes.
that have been crushed. Thank you, Jamie, for that.
It's one of my favorite Sam stories.
So I'll tell it really, really fast.
Yeah, do it.
My hope was, I thought that God was calling me to be like a speaking preacher. Like I was probably evangelist, like all over the world,
Yeah. The next Billy Graham.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's what I think it was. And at Brunswick Church of the Nazarene on a Sunday night, I had like 27 pages of notes, and I had practiced for weeks. My dad set this appointment up for me to be able to preach to this amazing congregation. And I got up there and I was feeling it. I don't know how many people were saved that night.
Right.
Not that it was because of me, but
No,
the things
of
I
course
was
not. God
sharing.
was using you.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, it didn't take that long apparently, because I had one more page of notes and I looked up and I had been preaching for like 7 minutes total. That was prayer time as well. And I was like, well, I got a story to tell at the end of this, my last page of notes. And I told the story and I looked up and it was like 8.5-minute message.
My favorite was your mom.
Yeah,
Mom in.
All the women in my life that could speak into me, my mom, my future wife, my future mother-in-law, and my big sister, they took me to ice cream. And as I was just eating my ice cream with my new paycheck, just feeling great.
It's like when your
man.
kid's getting report cards.
Yeah.
Ice cream. He's like a grown man preaching.
Yeah.
Let's go to ice cream.
I just preached the message of my life.
Wait,
I mean, people shaking my
old
hand
were
as
you?
I left. Oh, I was a freshman in college.
Okay.
I was 17, 18.
18.
I mean, I walked out. People were patting me on the back, giving me hugs. Turns out later that they were just really happy to get out of church early. They'd never been at
He's mad at a short sermon. No
They'd never been at a Sunday night church that early. And that's why they were. And so I think it was my mom. She just said, Sam, she called me Samuel. There's a lot of other opportunities in ministry. You don't have to preach. And I was like, Mom, why would I give up this gift? I obviously have a gift to share the message.
Oh, Jeremy, I need you to flip over to
Yeah. So then, I don't know how the next week I had a guitar
wait,
on my
pause.
bed.
I'm so glad that we're now recording the podcast for these moments where Jamie is crying.
Yeah.
Tyler's losing it over here. Okay, so Sam, back to your story.
Yeah, so then I got a guitar the next week. They bought me a guitar. They're like, maybe you could sing? I don't know. And I just thought, well, I'm going to be a singing and preaching televangelist.
Televangelist.
Jimmy Swagger.
And here we are. Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh, so yeah, that was my hope that kind of got crushed.
Here's what America should know. America's Got
yes.
Talent and like American Idol.
Yeah.
Those people need more of your mom
Yeah.
Yes.
They do.
and mother-in-law in their life.
Yes.
To be able to say, baby, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
You don't be doing this.
That's love right there.
A lot of people need to go
Love
to
right there.
yeah. A lot of people need to go out for ice cream. Let's
They
just say that.
do. A lot of people need some ice cream dates, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, it all worked out.
Yeah, I still left the ice cream shop feeling great. I was like, I have two options now. I can do something else in ministry and I can preach. God, why have you gifted me in so many ways?
All right, Tyler, let's rein this back
Let's go
in.
back in.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Sam.
That was like question one.
That was worth it.
That was worth it. You talked about the psychology of hope, which I just found so interesting. Will you touch on a few of the benefits hope offers people?
Yeah, looking back, I wish I would have went just a tiny bit more detail on that. See, this was a sermon, man, that I was afraid to lose myself because I love context and going into history. And I was like, yep, I'm going to lose everybody in this room if I don't just keep it tight.
Yeah.
So I left a little bit out. But yeah, so with psychology, like if people that, like you said, that are high in hope, just because they focus on what they really can't, like they focus on the only things that they can control throughout the day, whatever that is, their ability to bounce back, to be resilient, like we've been preaching about, to just maintain a better positive attitude is really astounding. And they were finding studies of all these things out, like for people inside faith, outside of faith, it really just goes across the board that people who can have hope in whatever it is. I know it's elusive. I know it's hard to grasp, but if you can hope in something, have a positive attitude, it really changes so much.
Yeah.
So is that similar to like the glass half full people
Yes.
that we talked about
Oh,
a
yeah.
week or so ago?
probably.
Right?
Optimist, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I mean, there's
pessimist.
just something about that. I was listening to a devotional this morning, and there was a person of faith who has a research psychology kind of background, and they were talking about research around faith, and John Ortberg was saying, like, oftentimes you don't think of faith and research as going together. And what this guy said was, like, you can't obviously put faith under the microscope, but you can put the outcomes of faith and quantify those. And that's similar, I think,
Yeah.
to that psychology study, that people of faith, the outcomes of who they are, of how they feel about life, of their, positive mental outlook, all that kind of stuff. Those are outcomes of faith that can actually be researched and measured. I just thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
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 So you
Definitely
guys
is.
all do like a fair amount of counseling in your positions. So how have you even seen that play out in ministry where like people who are coming in burdened with something, I mean, that's why they're coming to counseling. How have you seen the difference between people who come in with a little bit of hope and with those who are like, don't have any of it?
For me, I haven't been doing it. I don't know how long you've been in ministry, Sam. I know Jamie's been in it longer, so I don't know like y'all's counseling experience. But for me, at least, like when someone comes in the room and they, like for a marriage that is on the rocks, whatever it is, for the people that get dragged into there with, like they're just there because they got told to be there kind of deal.
Yep.
Versus someone who has the hope that it could be salvage or anything like that. I mean, I can't quantify all those numbers. I know we could do research and all that, but it's just so much easier to, hey, here's some action steps. Here's some things that you could possibly do to help things go in a different direction. And they're ready to try anything, to do anything to save it. And you could put that for whatever the crisis is, whatever the thing is. I think people that just have some semblance that things can get better, they can usually, I don't want to say that always works out, but at least they can have a positive attitude to try a shot.
Yeah,
100%. And I'm, to put it out there, I am not a counselor. I am a Bible teacher. But yeah, I 100% agree, Tyler. I think, the person who has some hope actually does have some hope.
Yeah.
I think there's hope that it really can improve, and the person who's checked out is not gonna.
There's several different ways I want to go about this. One, for Jamie and I, my wife Jamie, we do a lot of premarital counseling.
Yep.
And what's great about that is like there's just always a lot of hope behind that, right? Because like you're getting ready to start something new, something fresh. So like hope is never an issue. But years go by and then you start getting phone calls or you get a text where they've just hit something really tough. And that's where maybe you see like a little less, like if you come in, and we've always said this, I don't remember where I heard this. You may have preached it, Jamie, you may have heard it from somebody, but it's like when you sit down with a couple that's maybe really having a tough marriage and they're like, if you can at least see a little bit of light, like if you can see a little bit of light down that tunnel, like there's still some hope there, and like let's go after this because I think you can. If there isn't, like, so I think it's that idea of like having a little bit of hope, just false hope or not.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people will say that too. Is like, well, that's just false hope, but it's like that's not a real, like false hope's not a real thing. If you have hope, you have hope, right? And that can change, like you're saying, the psychology of it. That can change your attitude towards going towards something as well. So that's faith, that's hope. Yeah, just seeing those things.
Yeah. So Tyler, you joked about needing to be Webster's dictionary because you're always giving us definitions, but I think it's
Tyler Webster.
helpful. Tyler Webster. Can you kind of redefine or just remind us of the definitions of hope and then contrast that to the definition of biblical hope?
Yeah. Hope, by every definition I looked up, Webster's, Merriam's, whatever it is, all those had kind of a similar thing, that it's based on a feeling that things can get better. A feeling that something that you want can be had, something like some kind of, working of that. That's kind of hope. Like, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. All right, moving on. So
he's going to do his brown stick.
So contrast that.
You ain't going to get me down today.
You're right. I love Flacco anyway. But anyway, so biblical hope, though, is a confident expectation in God's promises. Whatever he said, he's going to bring it to fruition based on his character. And it's just a whole different way of looking at it. It's not based on situations, not based on anything else other than his character and what he says.
Yeah. So that whole idea really shaped our big idea for this week, which was confident hope inspires grateful praise. So that was like, you just kind of hit on that all through the sermon, which I really loved because every point that you would make, you kind of tied it back to our big idea. But I want to talk a little bit about history, and I know you love getting into this, and you already alluded to the fact that you couldn't go as much into it as you wanted to on stage. So can you just tell us a little bit more about the oppression the Israelites were experiencing in the Old Testament and how the promises of God really kind of carried them through that?
Man, there's so much to that, and I would love help for this too. But I mean, you think about it, you go from, if you look at it just like in the books of the Bible, Genesis, 50 chapters of that. It's long, but it's great. But you get to Exodus, boom, 400 years of slavery.
Yeah.
400 years right off the bat for this group of people. And then they get out of that, go to the promised land. They're always in these battles and these fights to take their promised land. And it just continues from there to these other nations. This land is fertile. It is rich in all the things, and everybody wants it. And so it's a constant battle that they're facing for generations.
Yeah.
And that's the oppression that they're under. They have the land, and they're in a constant battle. Mostly, as you look in the Old Testament, God said, if you follow my promises, you'll be okay. If you don't, these things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. They didn't. So those things happen. Yet it's still oppression that is happening to this group of people that is just hoping and waiting for restoration to be the blessing that God promised that they would be. And that's where they're at.
Yeah. So as we read about Jesus's arrival in the New Testament, you described Herod as a puppet king. We touched on this, I think a couple weeks ago, but can you remind us what that means? What does it mean to be a puppet king? What was going on in that time frame, and kind of just give us an idea of who Herod was?
That dude was wild. He's a wild guy. So when the Romans came and took over the whole area, they would put a puppet king there. And you could argue there may be some in other political forums and other places in the world that you could look at. That's a little hot topic, but in this sense, they would put that king there. The Romans had all control over Herod. They knew he was a safe bet because he was under their rule, really. So anything that he would do was in deference to the Roman government. He was only going to protect his thing. And that was a huge part of why he was so antsy, is because he knows that he is not this true king. So anything that would threaten his authority and rule, he was readily against it. And that's plays into who he is. You can look in the New Testament even more about him. He with John the Baptist. Yeah. John the Baptist says, hey, you shouldn't be with the woman that you're with. That is your brother's wife, and you are with her. And John the Baptist literally is killed for that. Mm-hmm. And it's a whole story that we could get into. I don't want to take too much time, but Herod was a maniacal, tyrannical ruler. That's just who he was. Yeah.
So I'm curious, because we're in where we're at right now in culture and what's going on in our world. Do you guys have any input that you can offer to today's conflict and war between Israel and Gaza, and how does that all fit into kind of this biblical narrative? This is not something that's disconnected from what we read about in the Old Testament. So can you help us link some things together? Anybody?
I mean,
I have thoughts, but
I've talked about this a little bit when the most recent conflict started, but just looking historically at the Jewish people and how many attempts of genocide have been made against that group of people historically, it's astonishing. I mean, Sam was telling me about the Netflix documentary From the Front Lines, which is about World War II. Very interesting, but the Russians tried to exterminate the Jewish people. Of course, Hitler tried to exterminate the Jewish people. Everywhere they are, they face that and that's just one world conflict. I mean, there's been so many through world history. And you just think why such a small group of people? Why is there so much animosity against them? And there's really only one explanation that makes sense. And pre the birth of Jesus, it was all about, it's the spiritual, there's a spiritual battle that is raging. And the battle was to attempt to thwart the coming of the Messiah. The promise was made early on to Abraham that through his seed, the Savior of the world would come. And so the logic goes, if I can destroy that seed, then the Savior of the world can't come. And so, you read through the Old Testament history and all of that, behind all of those conflicts, there's the disobedience, there's all of these things. But at the heart of what it is, it's an attempt to prevent Israel from existing as a nation, to prevent the seed from coming. Jesus comes, the seed arrives, the Savior of the world. He launches the start of this new kingdom. The future is not necessarily just tied to Israel because there's a lot to this, but in the New Testament, those who come to faith in Jesus are the, I don't want to conflate the church and Israel because you can get into a lot of trouble if you do that. But Jesus said, you're not a descendant of Abraham just because you were genealogically born Jewish. It is now those who've come to faith in Jesus. And so
that's the Jew and Gentile thing.
It's the Jew and Gentile thing. But there is an aspect where, the second coming of Christ is also tied to the nation of Israel in a sense. And I believe that a lot of what is happening today is an attempt to thwart the second coming of Christ. I just think globally there is spiritual work that is trying to prevent that, and then there's all kinds of geopolitical factors as well that are very, very complicated. For thousands and thousands of years, nations have fought over that same piece of land, and if a president or a prime minister think they're going to unravel world history, I just don't believe it's. I don't believe it's possible apart from God establishing His rule on earth.
I think you hit it on the head there. Like it's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that we've messed up just as humans and all that. But I was thinking the same thing with those documentaries that we've been watching. But even Tyler, like you saying, like 400 years of slavery, like there's no way that you can't read this stuff that's happened to the Israelites and the Jewish faith that doesn't just show that the spiritual warfare, like not just on them, but everybody that comes to faith in Jesus is now facing. And so, it's amazing. It's probably not the word to use, but it's unreal just to see how people are just trying to make it a human thing where it's like, no, this is, oh my gosh,
it's way bigger than that.
It's so much bigger than that.
Yeah. So Tyler, you, I think you really rocked people's worlds with this idea that there weren't three wise men.
That was that was a little unexpected, honestly.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
several
it doesn't make
people.
sense. We have a song about it. So.
Right.
It's supposed to be that way.
It is.
After mostly the people that came up after the sermon were talking about the wise men. That's
Yeah.
They couldn't
So
handle it.
great. So let's talk about who they were, because you said that they were pagan, and why that's such an overlooked reality, yet illustrates the power of the hope that Jesus offers.
Yeah, that was a super interesting detail to bring out. I love that.
I definitely appreciate that. As I was researching, I hadn't really thought about much about them until like even just reading through it. The Eastern lands kept popping up, and then the commentaries I was looking into brought that, like, just kind of fleshed it out more.
Yeah.
And most likely, they were pagan people just doing astrology, tarot card kind of stuff, and they called it Zoroastrianism, something like that too. Just people that looked at the stars, trying to figure out prophecies, kingly rules and reigns, and what nation was going to fall and when. And they were determining all that through stars and looking at the night sky.
And what was so incredible was how you pointed out, like, for the Jewish people, all of that was out of bounds.
Strictly forbidden.
Strictly
100%.
forbidden. And yet God in His mercy and His grace
meets them right
them in their pursuit, in a pursuit that He has
banned
for the Israelites.
Yes.
Yet He, in His grace, meets them in that space. How
is incredible.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
I tried to really, really nail that. I hope people were able to kind of catch that.
You did it for me.
I loved it.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. It got, because I think even for me, in my legalistic heart, they're still there in some ways. For God to do that, you're telling them, the Israelites, they can't do that. But these people know nothing about you, nothing about your promises, and yet you're meeting them in this way. It's just so amazing.
I think it ties so much into how we've been talking about, even through polarizing and different things. Like, we have this idea that God is going to, like, talk to everybody the same way about the same thing. He's going to address, like, sin struggles in these ways. And when you think about that, it's like, no, he meets people where they are. And
And
like
he's
where
so much
I am,
bigger than where you are.
Yes, where I am is not where Tyler is. It's not where Sam is. So like the way we're going to experience God and he's going to reveal himself to us is going to be as unique as he has created us.
Yeah.
And I thought that just painted that so well.
So do you really think, were there, in the second service, you said thousands?
I did say that. That was probably a little too much.
I was like, thousands?
Yeah,
I
probably
don't know, like maybe
reach.
dozens, maybe even hundreds.
Maybe hundreds.
Yeah.
Maybe hundreds.
But
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
point that you made, I thought was a good one. You know, 3 people showing up in town is not going to create a wave.
Right.
Yes, that's what I was.
But
more
a
so trying to
larger
get at,
group
yeah.
of people coming in. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't say millions.
That's
Because then
That's why I
everyone would have
said
been
that.
like, Tyler's just full of
Tyler's-
it.
yeah.
just pastor math, you know. Just
Right.
He needs to become a singer.
Yeah.
I also love the juxtaposition of the Magi royalty and lowly shepherds. So what does the contrast in these demographics teach us about the character of God?
I wrote that question.
So
You wrote that question?
Yeah.
That was good. That's a
Juxtaposition,
good
yeah.
one.
I think there's so much. I think even it goes back to the video that you showed with the Bible Project about how Jesus is this king that subverts so much of what we think about royalty. And like even I didn't share this in the sermon. I kind of forgot to mention this, but like our quote unquote royalty, like the president comes to town, like when he came to Norfolk or
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm
like,
actually talking about that this week coming up.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry
it's
to-
good. Repetition's good.
There we go. So yeah, when they come to town, it is
Yeah.
lockdown.
Right.
They get the top of the whatever the building they're in because you don't want anybody above them or below them. They rent like 3 floors.
That's what they do.
They do things like that, and
Yeah.
then a prince or something comes to town. They get the palace or castles. Jesus, the King of the universe, in a feeding trough.
Yeah.
Because his parents wouldn't have been able to afford anything else, even if they could have bought something, most likely.
Yeah.
And he subvert, like you have Herod, who's this tyrannical king put there for the wrong reasons. You have whatever other rulers, Caesar, all these people who are fighting with power and violence. Yet you have this child who's going to be Jesus, who is Jesus, loving people in the way he does, coming so incredibly humbly to the world, just changing so much what we think about royalty,
Yeah.
ruling, all those things.
And as
It's-
Andy Stanley says, now Caesar's a dog food. You know,
That's a
like
good
how
point.
remarkable is that?
That's it. Wow.
Yeah, it
Okay.
went from being like, that's the name of the
impact.
ruler of the known world
Wow.
to that's what we feed our dogs.
It's also my favorite salad.
Yeah,
Caesar
Caesar
salad.
salad. Wow.
Caesar
Yeah.
salad.
Yeah.
That is a good point. Wow.
Yeah.
Really good salad. All right.
So good.
He would be very sad if he knew he was going to be
It's true.
addressing.
Yeah, with anchovies in it. So, Tyler, you described the joy that awaited Jesus through the cross, and you got really passionate about this in your message, and I just love your heart in bringing that kind of passion to this part of your message. And you said, what is his joy, you may ask? To have a reconciled relationship with you and me. And it's through his joy that we find our hope. So what are some practical ways we can offer praise for the hope that we find in Jesus? Because I think some of us don't even know, like we talk about praise, but what does that look like? Does it just look like singing or, yeah.
And Sam could definitely weigh in on that part. But even for me, because of like the way we even call sometimes, and I think I appreciate you saying that you are adamant about not saying praise and worship in the sense that it's only when we sing that is what that is. I think we make a lot of things too complicated. If it's a relationship, like if I have relationships with all of y'all, how can I strengthen that? Time and communication. And just when you spend that time with Jesus, I think it draws your heart to just say thank you. Like I gotta just thank you for who you are, what you've done. And that's praise. It can happen in your car, can happen at the gym, can happen when you're on a kayak fishing, like I love to do. Like it's just, I think we complicate it a lot. And it can be so simple.
Yeah, Megan picked a great song that we kicked the service off with.
Yes, I love that song.
I love it because it's fun, but also just the words of it make me think about like, okay, that's what praise is supposed to look like. And like, just real quick, the verses are praise in the valley, and I'll praise when I'm on the mountain. I'll praise when I'm sure. I'll praise when I'm doubting. I'm praising when I'm outnumbered and praise when surrounded. I praise when I feel it and I praise when I don't. And I praise because I know that you're still in control. Like that is what like praise isn't about just like when things are going well and you're feeling great or just when you show up on Sunday for the first 15 minutes of service. Like praise is when you're going through all those things. And I know for me personally, and this reflected your message, and that hope is like the times when I have felt like God's really working in my life is those moments when you don't feel like giving praise. It's that stuff I praise when I don't feel it. When you can turn that into actual praise, like that's when God's doing something with you. That's
so good. Well, that's all we've got time for today.
And this year.
But we look forward to seeing y'all at one of our Christmas and Harborview services that are happening this weekend, Saturday at 4:30 and 6, or Sunday at 10. They are family-friendly services, and they are identical. So we can't wait to see you then. Sam, before we go, will you tell us a little bit about what's happening around here for the New Year's Eve Sunday?
Yeah, that's great. So December 31st, which is New Year's Eve, as you just stated, we'll have an online service, but it's going to be more of Jamie's going to give a wrap up to the year. So it's not like one of those things where it's going to be an hour video where you'll watch it or anything's going on live. We've said this for a while. Yeah, we've said this for often. Like the reason we do this is so that you can be with your family, but also give you a chance to maybe serve your community, serve your neighbors on December 31st. Like find ways to do that, but also stay plugged in and kind of just give our volunteers a chance to reset going into the new year, which we're doing a series called House Party, which we're really excited about.
I'm very excited about it.
And just what God's going to do at Believers this next year.
Yeah. Jamie, you want to talk about House Party real quick?
Yeah, House Party is, we're going to be talking about how we do what we do as a church. And it's kind of an insider in some ways series, but we don't very often have an opportunity to kind of just like raise the hood and say, like, here's why we do what we do, kind of explain the environments that we have and what they're for. And I'm excited about it. There's going to be a lot of action steps that people will be able to take as a result of the series. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And that ties right into Discovery X, which is coming up in January too. I want to mention it now because we aren't having a podcast before that. So will you tell us about what's coming up for Discovery X and how people can get signed up for that, Tyler?
Yes. So Discovery X is short for Discovery Experience. And we are kind of revamping it because we want it to be a truly experiential thing for anyone who is new or unconnected. And so when you come there, you will be able to experience what life is like here at Believers Church in community, with connection, with community, with serving, and with outreach. Yeah. It is a fun time.
Yeah. So it starts on January 14th, and they can sign up through the app and website, right?
Website.
And it's during second service.
Yep.
So you don't have to like schedule anything out in the week.
Except for the first one.
First one, yeah.
First
right
one
after service.
Is lunch.
Yeah.
Oftentimes Gianna's.
Pizza, which is great.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I will be there for that luncheon. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So sign up for that. Well, thanks for being here, friends. Go and be love.